Is AI a threat or a blessing to the development community? What sort of benefits or actual real world impact we've seen? Hi everyone, welcome to the third episode of Design to Dev, an exclusive Dualite podcast where we talk to world-class developers and designers and share and gather their insights on AI, how dev tools are changing the game, and what next to be afraid of in the design and development world. Today we have Lovepreet Singh, who needs no introduction. He's a celebrity on Twitter, YouTube, and has been teaching so many kids. So first of all, thank you so much for joining and taking out the time. I really appreciate it. So, how's been work? How are you? What's new that you've kind of have a challenge around or you're figuring out at the new thing?
Okay, so let me introduce myself to the people who don't know. So myself, Lovepreet Singh, and currently I'm working in CRED as a backend engineer. And yeah, we do use AI a lot in our day-to-day life. And apart from my work, whenever I make my side projects, there also I use AI quite a bit, right? So yeah, life is going smooth. I mean, we are just exploring new tools, using them, and just seeing that key how results are. So yeah.
Fair. And like you see, like obviously the first question on top of my head could be, is AI a threat or a blessing to the development community? But before going into that, I wanted to understand what sort of benefits or actual real world impact you've seen that actually has impacted not just people who are learning or amateurs in coding, but also people who are experts and are handling complex systems like in CRED.
First of all, like the people who already know how to code, right? They will, they're not in learning phase.
Right.
So basically, they're using AI in different manner as we are. So basically, what they are doing is we code a lot of redundant tasks, right? So for an example, let's say fetching some result from databases and all, right? So that is redundant. I mean, almost all the time it remains same, right? So the redundant code is being written by AI now, and experts like that a lot. Ki now they can spend their time on meaningful problems instead of solving the redundant problems, basically, right? So when you want to replicate, let's suppose, or modify that code a bit, right, from one repo to another, that is easy, right? Now I can use AI in my workflows and all. So that's how experts are using that. And apart from that, to experts also, these are the new tools. So they are using it to learn something new also. So let's say, for an example, in our org, a new Java version came, right? So now the new release of Java, instead of going to their docs and all, you can just get TLDR from the LLMs itself via web search, right? That is one of the good functionality that they use. So yeah, I mean, they are using it a lot, and quite replacing the redundant tasks and learning a lot from them also. Yeah.
Interesting. I read this tweet about the 70% problem, wherein I don't remember the name of the person. He's a tech expert like yourself. So he told that AI tools in development, or I think in similar tasks, what they do is they get 70% of the design work quite sorted, or they get 70% of the work quite sorted. But the remaining 30% is a Herculean task or a very difficult task for any developer, expert or non-expert, to kind of
Got it.
go through. So it's like the 70% looks fantastic, it's great, but the 30% is like one step forward, two steps back. So what do you think about is that true, or how can we avoid something like this?
Okay, should I answer this in design, design perspective, or backend?
Yeah. I mean, in a common way, I think both perspectives can work. It's not a
Okay, so in my company, like people are still, like our app is heavily dependent on design and all, right?
right.
So to them, AI is not that, helping as of now, because see, for designers, they have to think what consumers want, right? As of now, is not capable of, giving the results what consumer want. Let's say what consumer want in India is different than what consumer may want in,
Absolutely.
let's say, US, right? So they have to, like, these kind of research, although it is facilitated by LLM to some extent, as you said, like 70% of the work is being done by, you know, LLM, and the another 30% is the most difficult, where you can take few steps back, that
Right.
you might fall into that 70% also and redo some, you know, 10-20% again. So yeah, that is happening, and it will happen because, see, I just attended one session yesterday of a great, you know, computer scientist from USA, and he mentioned one line that ki, so basically whenever you are using LLMs, right, so the end consumers don't care if you are, you know, like writing a good backend code or a good, you know, front end code or whatever, right? Consumers just want their problems to be solved, right?
Right.
So that's why, to us, like to any designer, from designer perspective view, so they just want to solve consumer problem, right? And they just can't rely on LLMs, because that is where decision making comes, right? You have to take decision, you have to bring ROI, right, return on investment, whatever you bandwidth your developers are investing, there must be some return, right? So LLMs can't guarantee that. They will just give you that, make this design, make that design, and all, right? So yeah, that is from design perspective. But from backend perspective, let's say some work is being done by LLM, right? They write some code, then on top of that, if we are testing that code and we are figuring that those edge cases, right?
Right.
And again, let's say those edge cases are such that you have to change the code that LLM wrote. So that is where you have to, you know, get back, and you have to again modify the code and all. So if you'll ask LLMs again to modify based on one edge case, that code might overfit according to that edge case, right? If I have one edge case, I found one edge case, let's say, and I ask LLM to rewrite the code, it might rewrite the code again, and that test case will work, right? But let's say it can introduce few more bugs. So that's where our introspection comes, right? So we have to make sure that the test case are written such that the LLM's code, whatever the code is coming out of LLM, it's working fine. And at the end of the day, it's our decision, right? You can't put payment service code from LLMs to production.
Yeah, that no, I think you mentioned a very important point about edge cases.
Right.
So, like, what I've seen is that people, either it's bad prompting or surrendering themselves to AI. The edge cases are never, or mostly never, addressed. So, what I was also talking to a developer from Swiggy the other day. He mentioned something similar, that um, because the experienced developer knows what a great output is,
Right.
either in terms of design, in terms of backend, or in terms of the code quality, in terms of the edge cases should be there, the formatting should be right, it should be clean, because they know that. That's why they can transparently not surrender to AI, but have a conversation with it, and tell it to refine, where to refine. And he said that it's like a very passionate intern that can really solve problem, but is still a child or is still an intern.
Right. You
So
can't hand over the overall, you know, like 0 to 1 product, you can't hand over to AI basically. So if you are adding one feature, it's fine. But when you are making, let's say, payment service from scratch, you can't rely completely on LLM.
right. Another topic that I wanted to touch, which is not related to AI, I think we've said 38 times AI already, is something I've heard my co-founder Prakhar also talk about as the CTO, the tech person, is anxiety and mental pressure, and how there's an imposter syndrome in developers and designers. And there was this very funny incident that happened with us, that we posted a Reddit thread of why are developers still unhappy, and we mentioned Copilot, Cursor, even Dualite to that. So that got really viral, and one person really had a quote that even if they could solve 70% of my work, the manager will give me 70% more work. So
Got
essentially, it's not, it's a human problem rather than an automation product problem. So, what is your thoughts around this, and how people can figure that out,
Hmm.
anxiety and all that better?
For me, like, we are also, trying to use more and more AI. So the anxiety perspective for developers, at least I know ki there is anxiety, like whenever someone is coming and it's, the threat of being replaced, right? But the thing is ki most of the time if you'll not go out of your comfort zone, you will not learn that, right? So according to me, there will be two kind of cohorts of developers will be left in future, right? Someone is key who are just searching like, is AI bad, is AI good, should we use it, should we not use it, right?
Who are fearful.
Yeah, fearful, right? And another cohort is the FOMO people who are like fearing of like missing out something, right? So they will try to learn a lot so that they will continue the race of developers and engineers, whatever. And another thing that my software architect oftenly mention is ki, are you a developer or engineer, right? So there is a big difference between a developer, or I would say framework developer, and engineer. So a framework developer is basically who just focuses on ki I need to learn Monstack, and I will completely rely on Monstack to solve anything, right? And the engineer, another cohort, the engineers cohort, it is basically a guy who will solve problem irrespective of the language, framework, whatever is there, right? So the engineer, he has some resources, right? He can solve any problem using those resources. Now a new resource is being added to his arsenal, which is key this AI, right? LLM stuff. So what I think is ki anxiety is important. Only then you will learn a lot, right? Otherwise you will be very comfortable with your framework in which you are coding, right? So I think according to our psychology in our company, FOMO is good. So if someone is putting 10x the work on you as compared to pre LLM era, they are just putting it because they know that this 10x work, if they will put, you will become 10x, right? After a point of time, you will be able to solve this 10x work in less time with the help of LLMs. So they want you to use LLMs. So that is the end goal. So if they will not give you so much work, you will again do manually, you will again manually write for loops, while loops, right? So that is the problem. So I think from management perspective, ki they are pushing developers so that ki developers find a way how to use these different kind of tools to quickly deliver the task.
Right. And like, do you feel that you mentioned very interesting about the dilemma or duality of engineer and developer? Do you feel that the definition of a developer also has changed with design also coming into play, with AI also coming into play?
Right.
What do you think, like, for like, I'm not talking jargons here, but what do you think, how transformative has this AI design and all of these things been in terms of expanding the scope of what a developer can or should do?
So the other day, again, I was having conversation with my software architect, and yesterday only that guy from US, he mentioned that now this time all people are becoming all rounder, right? So earlier it was like ki you are a developer and you just know how to write code, and now even now designers think that they only have to design in Figma, right? Nothing more than that. But it's not like that. Now you have to be a generalist, right? You have to make sure that you know how to operate in Figma, how to make sure your progress in Figma goes by 10x with LLMs. It's not only limited to code. It's not only limited to writing code or getting email templates, right? It's also expanded to whenever you want to generate context of your repository, of your code repository, whenever you want to get an idea of designs, right? So for an engineer point of view, he mentioned, and I also believe in that, ki you should become a journalist with specialist in one. So basically, let's say I am doing my backend engineering, right? So I should, the first and foremost point is I should be expert in at my level, I should be expert in backend engineering.
Okay.
Now the second thing is, you should not consider yourself as a backend engineer in your head. You should be able to operate Figma, pull out design, maybe use LLMs to design, I don't know. But if LLM is there to help you in design, I don't know about Dualite. If it does that, I think it does. Yeah. So if I'm an engineer, right? I want to make a side project. I will not do its backend. I will use probably Dualite, right, to design, and then export the code from Figma to my code. Then I will put my unit test case or whatsoever, right? The other steps.
Yeah.
So the main point is, be a journalist and specialist in one is my psychology basically.
Like, is it because of the fact that the demands have changed a lot, like, or is it something else? I mean, is it because the expectation? I think the better word is expectations of any average manager or an average architect, like you mentioned, has increased, or is it just the way the industry has evolved into?
Okay, so if we remove LLMs out of picture, even before LLMs, the startups like ours, CRED, Swiggy, Zomato, all the startups that those came in, India after big giants like TCS, service-based sector, right? So these startups introduce something called owning a product. So whenever you are working in these kind of startups, you are just not coding the service or making a product, right? You are in your mind, in your back of the head, you have to make sure that what will be the impact of my change or feature or product, whatever I am working on, right? So even before LLMs, the responsibility was changing. It was not like you just have to code and you have to just sit on chair and code and just leave, right?
Right, right.
It was key. Now you are releasing your feature. How you will measure the impact? Is it really impacting the users? Is it really bringing up the revenue and all, right? So with the LLM's introduction, it is like just became so fast. So earlier, if LLMs would not have like come into the picture, this is a journey that we were sure ki we will head to, right? Ki will soon become, you will give inputs to design team. You will, take output from data science team and then give inputs to, product managers and all. You have to collaborate with all. Now
Right.
AI made this, environment very faster, right? Very fast. And now your output is basically becoming 10x of the level that you were like earlier expecting to do.
It's a psychological change of being more agile, being more fast.
Yeah.
I think the startup culture
Mhm.
has brought.
So LLMs is just like a catalyst who basically fasten up the process. It was bound to happen,
Right.
according to me, because in our startup we can see ki people are becoming journalists and they are keen to find out ki what is the impact we are bringing in and all.
Right, right. I also want you to touch upon your dev tools. We at Dualite are also building Dualite Alpha, which is, I hope you try that out. But I wanted to understand how is loyalty among dev tools, like are developer attrition really a big issue, in the sense that if they're using something and like something better, how quickly will they switch from one product to the other, and what, like, people like us can do to uh, retain that person, not just on the feature wedge, but either on the community angle or something around that. So I wanted to talk to you about that also.
Right. So basically, the question is key for me also. Ki even day after day, new tools are coming. Right?
Exactly.
So I'm not sure. Like earlier, few days back, I was using Cursor. Right now, Cloud Dev extension, which is Klein right now, it came in the market, right? And you can just install that in your VS Code.
Right.
So now,
Cloud Client and Cloud Code are different, or are they the same thing?
Cloud Dev is basically they renamed it to Klein.
Okay.
It's an extension only.
Okay.
And so I switched back to VS Code from Cursor, right? And
Okay.
I'm finding it very difficult ki whenever you ki new extension comes, right? You want to try that out, but if that extension or whatever the tool is better, and you try it hard to ki how to switch, how to shoot the things, right? So yeah, it is hard basically. And for me right now, I'm using Klein only, right? And let's say I'm using Lovable, and now from Lovable I want to shift to Dualite. So that phase will be hard as of now. I'm not sure how people are adapting that, but for me, shifting to a new tool, I find it very difficult.
But on the other side, you're also open to switching. Like you said, it was initially hard for you to
Yeah.
move from cursor, but then you adapted.
It is hard, but not impossible, obviously. But the delta it will bring to my life day to day task, it should be more. So
Right.
if client is bringing more value, then I will surely try hard to shift to another tool.
And you talked about Lovable, you talked about Dualite. So similar question what I had mentioned earlier also. So these are kind of like these builder products that we are building around, right? You can build your first draft, integrate your code base around it, and all of that. Especially we are trying to integrate your code base or design systems and then generate a personalized code, something which other people are not doing. But so, do you think that uh, as a product manager, this is more suited, or is it more of a develop? So, for example, my simple question is,
I got it.
people who do you think is impacted most by these kind of products like Lovable, Bolt, Dualite Alpha, Subframe, a lot of them, obviously. So, who do you think is impacted most? Is it the developer person? Is it the product manager? Is it the backend person? Is the designer?
Hmm. So from backend perspective, I don't think we use these tools.
Right.
So if I'm going to prototype a new product, right, or a new feature, so I will surely try this, end-to-end builder tool. But from a pure backend perspective, I don't think people are using builder tools, right? They are just relying on Claude and all, like the extensions, right? The LLM wrappers and all. So from product manager point of view, yes, it makes a lot of sense, because see, sometimes so the collaboration, like design team has to deliver something, right?
Right.
Then product manager take decision key, what matrices these features will impact, right? So the thing is ki product managers are blocked on designers in that time. So if builder tools like these exist, then designer team can quickly, use this, or even product manager,
Yeah.
right? No designer team, even product manager can use these tools. They can prototype their ideas quickly.
Fast.
Yeah.
Alright.
And they can present in their PRD, right? So whatever they have requirement, they have to present to the team. So if they can make it faster, and then they can say that this is a draft, this is a draft of our feature. We are not like 100% sure if it will look like this, but these are the metrics that we are thinking ki these features will impact. So I think yes, for product managers, for designers, for front-end developers, these builder tools makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. My other question is similar, just on a more broader scale. You know, two-part question, honestly. One is, do you think like SaaS as a service or as a segment in the industry, it's fading away with so-called vertical AI that is coming? And secondly, now you see with Cursor, Lovable, Dualite, Bolt, all of these people, it's very easy to build now. Mm. And open source community are always thriving on that. um, do you think that there will, like, this is something I believe in, might be wrong here, that's why I want to ask you, do you think SaaS is fading away, or there is a transformation that is happening in that? And secondly, do you think there will be no tech moat as in a competitive advantage significantly for SaaS, and it will be some non-tech positioning, marketing that will only remain?
See, it's not only, tech is not only a biggest parameter which moves your company, right, which brings revenue in. So the other biggest components are as you mentioned, like distribution, right, marketing, distribution, and first of all funding, right? So these new factors, and on top of that, the executor, right, who is executing the idea.
Right.
So if you are purely a tech person, sure, these tools, will give a lot of power to you. But the thing is ki whatever you will make, why will I care? Is it really needed in the market or not, right? So see, there are a lot of tools exist in market. Not every tool is relevant in the market, right? So the thing is ki for every product there will always be a market, but the sizing of the market, the distribution of your founder or whatever the marketing team you have, it all matters, right?
Hmm.
The technical advantage that you're asking, if there will be a technical advantage to the people, or is it fading away, right? Because see, everyone has the tech advantage using LLM, right? But the thing is ki the problems that exist, like the 100% problems are not solved by LLMs, right?
Which kind of problem?
Which kind of problems is, let's say ki right now I can again take an example of ki basically making your system faster, right? Let's say your system is latent, and whenever you are placing an order on Zomato, it's taking a lot of time to load, right? You can obviously optimize on front end, you can obviously optimize on back end, right? But what about databases? What about your architecture optimizations? What about, after these optimizations, how much cost you will bring in, how much more cost you will pay, How about cost optimizations? So these all factors go hand in hand, and there is something called trade-off between your infra cost and
Tech debt, I think, is the
tech debt. Yeah.
right, right.
So these trade-offs are not known to LLMs, right? You will ask them to write better code, they'll write better code, right? You'll ask them to give me a better design, they'll give you a better design. But the thing is ki, are they like, do they have enough decision power to make, the trade-off between cost and the quality of code or your infra? That I think is not there.
Right, right.
Right. So I think the advantage is not because of tech, it is also because of, the different optimizations that every, people do. On backend side, our SD2, SD3, they give, lot of inputs that we use in cost optimizations. And even you will ask LLM, they'll not know about that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a very, very valid point. And I think I read this Naval Ravikant's tweet that no entrepreneur is afraid of AI taking over their jobs. So I think that's a similar thing, optimizing cost, trade-offs.
Yeah, because to founders, frankly, to them, tech is the last part.
Right.
They always start with the problem, the delta they will bring in, the things that they will move, right? Let's say Swiggy exists today. What they are working, right? What is the difference that product will make? Is that difference enough? Is it really that customers need? After all this, exploration, the last part is tech. So I don't think a product is solely dependent on
Yeah,
tech.
no, I want to mention something. Yeah, so I think we need to sell the skeleton rather than just keep building that, something we learned the hard way. But yeah, we are very true that how deeply your value proposition impacts the customer
Right.
is true. And I think, I made this, if you were a Merlin is like a chat GPT competitor doing fairly well. So, so I asked them what do they do, different, how do they grow? It's like perplexity in that
Okay,
sense.
got it.
So they're also quite graining their share. So they said something simple and similar that uh, whatever you think the customer will need, just build it before anyone else can, and solve these small things that other people can't see, or other legacy companies are too big to see. I think that's where this kind of narrative and all of that comes in.
Another thing is I just want to mention
Sure.
is ki security and privacy, right? So the thing is ki first of all, if you there is something called trust, right? You will trust Tata more than any other, newcomers. So according to me, building up trust in the market takes a lot of time, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter what your tech is, right? If you are not a trustable person, I will not buy your product.
Yeah.
So if someone is trustable means they are, very open, very transparent with, people problems, and they are very, putting pressure on uh, the security perspective, right? So that's why people trust banks, right? But I'm not sure, but the thing is ki people have built their trust over the banks over a long period of time,
Right.
right? So there is a time, that has to be there so that people will trust your product. So it's not just that ki they will find it very tacky and they will use their product.
Customer service trust, I think
Yes.
that is something that you can always optimize on. And I remember, someone using our plugins. We were initially a plugin, Figma plugin, which is still pretty much active, but they were only using it because of our customer service and um, all of that. So that's a very interesting dynamic, that human problems are still human problems.
Right.
And the other thing that I want to add on top of that, you talk about trust, is when you're selling a product, you're not just selling the product itself, you're also selling you as a person, because it's you who is doing the hard work, who's reaching out, who's continuously following up, who's trying to get things done. So it's not just the customer does not just buy the product, he also buys the trust
Yeah.
that he's bet on you, or he's gambled on you.
Right.
So that, I think that's a very fair point that you mentioned. Besides work, what do you keep doing? I think you mentioned biking or something.
No, so for me, basically, after work, gym is the one
I can see the muscle.
that I have to go. So basically, it cleans up my mind, and it's a kind of hard reset for me, right? And apart from gym, I just listen to a lot of songs, like all the day. I'll play like random playlists and all.
Okay. You have a favorite genre or an artist, or not really?
No. I only listen to, it depends on mood. So I only listen to sometimes Punjabi music all day. Sometimes I'll, shift to Arjit Singh and all. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, apart from that, I just get together with friends and all.
Right. I think very important for people to realize that the like how important it is to reset and really get stress free and start from zero again on the next day. And to be able to do that is really really tough. And how has been your content creation journey, and what kind of things you've learned on the way, that as a dev influencer or as a dev YouTuber, one needs to be sure of or aware of, who are starting out as a YouTube content thing?
Okay. So from non-technical, learnings, so that perspective, I learned few things the hard way. That is key. You don't have to address everyone, right? So basically there,
Niche.
yeah, find a niche, right? So if you are bringing up, low level programming kind of content, so there are people who will say ki AI is on, anyways is going to replace you, why are you making this content, right? So you have to ignore them. So this is the first learning. And second learning is ki I started this content creation because I wanted to learn more, right? So if I'll be bounded by this my job, then I'll just learn backend engineering, or my I'll become a framework engineer, right?
Yes.
So that that hole that I wanted to escape. So I started content creation to deliver my experience learnings from the people who are already having 25 years of experience, who are working with me like I am working with them. So yeah, the learnings from them, the learnings from my day-to-day tasks, learnings from my college, and I make a lot of side projects. I experiment a lot. So people don't know, but the projects that come on YouTube are like after a lot of experimentation,
Right.
iterations, right? So
Yeah, I hope you try our product for the next side project that.
yeah, I will surely try. So basically, my new, not new, my plan, like a video is in plan already, which is key, how to use basically end to end, to make or to deliver a task end to end from LLMs
Oh,
on already existing repository, right? So basically, a lot of new things came into the market, which is key, how to give you how to give LLMs the context, right? How to index the files and make markdown files, make PRDs, make flowcharts, and then put that all to LLM, so that LLM can build on top of your existing repository. So that this is one of the video for backend engineers.
oh, nice.
Yeah, but for end-to-end product, I'll surely use Dualite. Why? Because see, I've used Bolt. Okay, I used other products, right? But I want to use some Indian product.
Yeah. So
Right.
I don't know, should I mention it or not, but it's fine. So we're all actually using Dualite to build together with Sarvam
Yep.
for a project called Pehchaan. So it's an AI based Indic landing page builder. So you type in something, for example, you have a coffee shop and you want to have that, it's you want to have that in Hindi language or in Kannada language or in Marathi.
Okay.
So it's an AI based landing page for all those Indic language builders.
Got it.
So yeah, I think Indian mindset on the Indian narrative is very important, and the idea that uh, the service that we can understand from an Indian mindset is very different than how a Lovable or a Bolt operates. So that's something that we're actually building on top of, because in this whole AI race, we want India to also have some good projects and good initiatives, and we want to be one of them. There are already so many people that are doing so amazing work. We want to just be and grow in that ecosystem.
I just wanted to add ki Sarvam AI, I have heard about them. So let me know what is your timeline, like when this project will come up in the
This will probably come by the end of this month or maybe earlier.
Okay, then so basically using your product and making something already existing, that is not interesting, right?
Right.
But to use your upcoming product and make something in Indic language, that is more interesting. So we can stream maybe
Sure.
we can stream end to end. Maybe let's say a local shop owner wants to make his landing page,
Exactly.
right? And he is living in Bangalore, and Kannada language he used to use. So if we wanted to use Kannada language, then if we are making that end to end, then it is a good project, right?
Exactly.
And we can stream that basically so that people will know how to.
Yeah. So I'm sure the idea is basically uh, getting the Sarvam AI LLM and getting our code generation capabilities and merging into both through to have this thing of giving an identity to any small kirana store, small.
Yeah, it's really a great actually use case.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, if Sarvam has some LLM and you are using that to power so many individual business owners,
Right.
so yeah, that is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is something.
That I don't think is possible right now. If I want to, let's say, make a landing page in Punjabi.
Yeah, I don't know honestly. There might, but I haven't seen anything.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, just using the technology and just open sourcing it actually gives a lot of people to build on top of. For example, we've included 5 languages. Someone can contribute to Punjabi or someone can contribute Gujarati. I don't know. So that's a really interesting way for this to kind of continue and giving actually a digital identity to all of these people and a digital presence is really because I remember we like I'm from Jodhpur, Rajasthan, and there are so many dhabas or stalls that I if I'm going there I have to go there because the dal bati is famous from there or something or the other is famous from there. So it's a really interesting way to kind of bring those out in the market. I, even if a small presence will be there, but it will be really interesting way to there's
I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense with our Gen Z, basically, right?
yeah.
So nowadays, I've seen people not going to, thela walas. So because their aesthetics of the thela and all, right? But let's say they have a QR code, and I'm scanning that QR code, and then it's opening up the landing page in my own language, and I can go through the page, right?
Yeah.
Then it will be more, an immersive experience. Ki I will go there. I know ki what to order and all. I don't have to ask them, and all these frictions, if we are able to remove for those thela walas tapris, right? So I think it's really a great use case.
Right. One question I had, which I think you've kind of answered, but if you can just summarize again, is if I'm starting development tomorrow, um, how should I approach this development, be it backend development, since you're a specialist in that? How should I approach it in a way that is basically giving me maximum learning with minimal timelines, and how do I leverage AI? So by adding to this question, I don't want to surrender, right? I don't want to just surrender myself ki AI will do it. I want to also understand. So how should I balance it and kind of strategize it if I'm starting tomorrow in backend?
Okay, so I can take my example. So let's say I want to learn backend or full stack for say, right, from tomorrow. So first of all, for me, I will still start from someone's crash course. Why? Because see, if someone is teaching in your own language, or maybe some Indian guy in simple terms, you just have to have an idea ki how to write syntax, right? So for me, I'll still go to a video, right? So that I'll have some tool set to build a simple to-do apps, right? I'll still not go to LLM, right? Now the thing is ki when I'm building my own project, so if I'm learning, if I was learning in my college days, even if I'm learning now, the path will remain same, because see, LLMs has a point Like that point only you should use LLM. Up to that point you should use Stack Overflow, still Google. Why? Because see, people have put their learnings over, accumulated. Yeah, they accumulated their knowledge base in Stack Overflow, and you'll get, people asking questions and then people answering in replies. So you'll get to know ki how people are thinking using, let's say, in React, let's say use state, right? Now use state is a hook, and LLM will directly tell you ki what it does, how to use it. That is not the way you should learn. You should learn ki go to Stack Overflow, how people are using that hook, how they are asking questions ki we were using this in React, let's say, I don't know the version, but let's say React 12, now it's not working React 15. This is how it changed. So these all kind of summaries, unstructured path only will lead you to the, specialist kind of first level specialism of React, right? Or Java in backend, right? So after a point of time, when you're able to make your side projects, right? When you're able to, deploy your side projects by your own, and then you know the syntax, you know the language, you know how to build things, and now you want to learn more, right? And there are some things which are more, which require more depth knowledge. Let's say for C++, there are so many libraries that HFT kind of companies use, and those are very hard to understand. So the things which are very hard, only use LLMs there. Because see, LLMs are really great tool to summarize things, to give you bullet points. What are the use cases of this library? What a code block is doing. It's a indexing for your mind basically, right? So it will index all the files, all the library uses in your mind. Then you will know ki, okay, I know the indexing. So for you using using this indexing, how I can build my project. So that's how I will learn. So basically, I'm generating context for my own, brain.
Yeah. The question is, how do you stop people on jumping the bus with AI? Is the kind of the I think it's a similar flow of instant gratification where people just want answers. People just want solutions. They don't want to get into that, or people just want to hear the headlines. They
Right.
don't want to get into the nitty gritty. So I think the detailing the nitty gritty is something what actually covers the depth of anything, not
Right.
just coding. And because of this is AI and instant gratification that it is giving, and there's also another term which I wanted to have your optics about, which is vibe coding. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah, I know.
So what is that, and what do you think about that?
So from my
Or is it
perspective,
just a buzzword?
from my perspective, vibe coding is basically where you don't interrupt, the output of LLM. Basically, let's say someone generated the output and it just copy pasted from that context to their
Okay.
your repository. Let's say now you got some error, right? Now, if I don't know if people know, there are something called MCP server, right, from Cloud and all. So they can, read your visual code, okay, errors, their problems, right? The problem section is there in VS Code.
Right.
They can read that. Now they know what are the problems. Now what these, a client or whatever cursor will try to do is key using those problems, whatever they have written, they will rewrite it, right? So that these problems are not there. So vibe coding is basically where you are not interrupting, you're just maybe clicking one or two to approve or disapprove the changes.
Right.
That's all what you are doing.
What is MCP?
So MCP, I'm not sure about the full form. It's multi-context protocol something,
Okay.
multimodal context protocol. So basically, it's just a interface. Let's say you're using client extension, right? And in client extension, you are basically you said that make a to-do app, right? Now it made the to-do app. Now that after making to-do app, now if MCP is not there, what you have to do is you have to run that to-do app. You have to go to the browser and see how is it performing. Now, what MCP can do is ki if someone has wrote the protocol for browser, so right, I think some Indian guy wrote that. So what it does is ki it will go automatically in that same context window. It will go to browser. It will run the command and it will automatically see whatever is showing up in the browser, and it will know what is going in browser. You don't have to go to browser, click a screenshot, put back to LLM and say ki this is how it is looking.
It's an agentic
Kind of agentic, But what MCP provides us is ki for me, I'm a developer, right? So for me, it's a kind of, you don't have to go anywhere to build agents and all. You have extensions. MCP you can treat as an extension. It has extension. It has, let's say, extension of Spotify. Right? But it can do is it can integrate Spotify. It has, let's suppose, extension of Stripe. What it can do is it has the MCP server. It can talk to Stripe and all. It can automatically see ki if Stripe is working or not. It can integrate Stripe in your code base. So
Yeah.
those kind of protocols are defined, so you can directly plug and play kind of
Very interesting.
in your IDE.
Great conversation. I think you also have to head off, and it was really amazing talking to you and getting your insights, getting your understanding of all the AI that is happening around the world, how you are balancing all of this, how you are strategizing, and if a newbie is starting, how do they define their workflow. And I think one important thing from me personally is the struggle is really important for you to become a good developer and not just rely, however great the tools are, you can't rely.
Or become an engineer.
Yeah, become an engineer, I think, was also the thing. See, are you a developer or are you an engineer is the headline thumbnail for me. But yeah, super talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, guys.
Thank you.